Making good decisions that honors God is what I want to do today. And so I think it has 4 pillars. So we're going to go through the 4 pillars of great decision making. It doesn't mean that you're going to get guaranteed a good decision, but I think it really surrounds making good decisions. Number 1, what does the Bible have to say? When you're trying to make a decision, what does the Bible have to say? There's lots of decisions in our life that the Bible doesn't directly address. Who should I marry? Or should I buy the house? Or when do I retire? Or what do I do with my grandkids? Are they supposed to move in with me? Or whatever. But there are things in Scripture that are very black and white. And so if the decision you're trying to make disagrees with Scripture, one of those things is don't be unequally yoked, as in don't partner with somebody who is not passionate about Jesus Christ. Which means if you're trying to think, am I going to marry somebody, and they're not a believer, they're not anti-God, maybe they'll come around, God would say, no, don't do it. If you're thinking of going into business with somebody who's not a believer, God would say, no, don't do it, you're asking for trouble. There are black and white things in Scripture, and as you read Scripture, you understand God's character, and as you understand God's character, you understand what He would want, what He would desire for you. So the first place you need to go when you're making a decision is you need your face in the Word. Number 2, prayer. When you pray, when you talk to God, you need to listen. Pray in conjunction with reading the Bible. Pray as you read God's story. Pray as you invest time with God and Him, and then listen to what God has to say. Number 3, wise people. These are people who have been there and done that. Men and women who are passionate about following Jesus and can give insight based on their own investment in Scripture and prayer life. This is not a random tweet or post online. Hey, I'm thinking about buying a new car. What do y'all think? That is not wise people. Wise people are people who have been there and done that and care about you and care about God. This is a ask your small group or prayer partner or somebody else in your life what they think God would want you to do. In Gideon's story, it happened to be his dad. Number 4, circumstances. What are the circumstances in your life? I have people who tell me all the time that they want to work with students in student ministries, and then they look at the time commitment that I require, and they look at the spiritual commitments that I require, and they realize that this isn't the season for them to serve in student ministries. It doesn't mean that they will never serve in student ministries, that the circumstances in their life cause them to say, this is not my season. I had a kid last year who wanted to go to Honduras and spent 10 months of his life planning to go to Honduras, but in those 10 months he had raised $20 of the $2,500 that he needed to raise. The circumstance dictated I was not buying that kid a plane ticket. It doesn't mean that he will never get to Honduras. It means that the timing isn't right. When we're trying to make decisions, things can line up, but the timing may not be right. The circumstances may not be right. When you have small kids at home, your ministry is most likely surviving chaos. As you age and you have more free time, you have more time, but less energy. And so you look at those two things. What is God calling me to do, and what are my circumstances? But a lot of times, people look at their circumstances alone and try to make a decision. But it's 4 things. It's the Bible, it's prayer, it's wise counsel, and circumstances all coming together to help you make a wise decision. He says, this is it. That we need to figure out what does it mean to trust Him, to follow Him. So in this conversation, we see how incredibly different Jesus sees the world. In fact, as you read Scripture, and particularly if you read the stuff that Jesus says, Jesus sees the world upside down and backwards from how we want to see the world. His declaration of how we need to live our life, that whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for His sake will find it, he says it is completely opposite of how you want to live our life. And it comes as much of a shock to the disciples as it does to you and me, if we really choose to listen and obey the passage. It's as if Jesus just says in the middle of everything, stop. The direction that you are heading, the life that you are trying to build, is death. Release your life and trust me with all of your life, and you will be satisfied.